where to begin. I'm telling you, I really hardly know where to begin. I have never had the privilege in my long broadcast career, perhaps a little bit too long, but I've never had the privilege of following a serious discussion on afterlife experiences with, right here on the radio station. I've just never had that privilege before. I feel, in essence, I am inheriting an audience of airheads and religious fanatics and damned little else in between, because who else could possibly buy this kind of crap? Who else would possibly sit there and listen to it? Unreal. Right here on the radio station. News Talk on top of that. News Talk radio with afterlife experiences. Unbelievable. I had really hoped to have a semi-serious conversation with you guys today. I really had. That had been my sincere belief. 10 minutes after the hour of 12 noon on a Wednesday, November the 16th, 1988. I don't know whether to tap dance for 15 or 20 minutes or just to cast the whole damn thing aside and, wait for a recirculation here. I guess we'll kind of make that decision as we go along. Still doing great, by the way, with the smoking, although now the nose is really starting to pick up things. Unbelievable on some of that stuff. An interesting sidebar, okay? An interesting sidebar. Last evening, took the Lincoln in to have something installed on it, okay? Something I bought when I bought it. I guess that's a security situation, okay? And so I took the Lincoln in, and they kept it overnight and gave me a rental car, a 1989 Topaz, Mercury Topaz. Fine little car. Bring the car home, pull it into the driveway, park it in the carport there. A little bit later on the evening, Mary, you remember Miss Point A to Point B?
Car's only good for going from point A to point B. That's all you need one for.
Well, she decided that she wanted a candy bar. Yes, a candy bar, believe it or not. Well, she gave up smoking too, okay? So she got into the Topaz to drive it from our house to a 7-Eleven, which is about 2 blocks away. Comes back into the house moaning and groaning.
Oh, what a weird little car. The lights don't turn on automatically. It doesn't have a compass. Now you have to crank the window up and down. You even have to set the air conditioning with a little lever. Can't just punch in your favorite numbers. Oh, what a weird little car.
2 weeks. 2 weeks. That's all it's been. 2 weeks ago, she would have been trying to talk me into buying such a weird little car. Unreal. Women, I just do not understand them. When does this kinder, gentler nation part begin with the administration? Has anybody started, to wonder about that yet? There are some good things, though, on the horizon. Some fantastic news on the horizon for people who live in Vermont. They are no longer going to have to be embarrassed by Governor Sununu. He will be, of course, the new chief of staff there. So the good folks in Vermont have lots of reason to celebrate this particular day. The drug testing. Oh, my God. I swear you turn your eyes and look away for a minute, and there's this kinder, gentler nation wanting to test all those poor... What about the 80,000 farmers they're going to throw out into the gutter? Oh, my God. Does this sound kinder and more gentle? And then, of course, this morning, Social Security, Medicare, welfare, appeals rules all being changed, all being tightened up. Funny, did you ever notice how funny it is? How the rules for the have-ees never seem to change. It's only the rules for the have-nots are always somehow changing. But nonetheless, I sat down this morning and I got to thinking. Before I knew that there was an afterlife experience guy. Well, anyway, I got to thinking, just what do we owe people who are in trouble in this country? Especially considering this kinder, gentler nation that we're supposed to be getting ready for the next several years. What in the hell do we owe people who are in trouble, down on their luck? I mean, in need. What do we owe people who fought in a war for us? Do we owe them anything? What do we owe people who grow our food? What do we owe people who fight our fires, who whatever? Did I not say New Hampshire? I said Vermont. Oh, okay. Well, probably the people in New Hampshire are celebrating too, as well as the people in Vermont, because Vermont's right next door, and a lot of people like myself sometimes get them confused. So I was just being corrected on Governor Sununu. Anyhow, what are people owed? What does your country owe you? I remember way back when I was a little tyke, about 15 years old, some guy with a lot of bushy hair and used to talk with his hand in his pocket and that kind of stuff, said something that was actually it wasn't his line, it was actually somebody else's line going back even further about, ask not. You remember that good old line. Sounded great and we all loved it, but obviously the times have changed and people are doing an awful lot of asking now. I mean, how many times have I listened to some shrill older woman, usually, not always, but usually, collecting Social Security, screaming on the phone about the benefits for surviving minor children? I mean, do we owe a mother and a father some kind of a guarantee that if they should die, that their children will not go wanting? Do we owe them that much of a guarantee? Do we owe a comfortable retirement to the elderly? Do we owe medical care to everybody in this country? What do we owe them? What does a person who suddenly finds himself or herself in deep trouble have a right to expect from his fellow Americans and from his country? I mean, you guys voted for this kinder, more gentle nation, remember? Just what did you have in mind? How kind? How gentle? Simple as that. It's really all I have for you today. I'm just curious as all hell. What does this country owe people? Especially people in trouble. Last week, there have been quite a few surprises coming out of Washington. There may be a hell of a lot more surprises between now and, let's say, January 20th. Hell of a lot of surprises. And I just want to know what you think you owe your fellow Americans. Let me give you the telephone numbers. Minutes after the hour of 12 noon. Oh, pathetic. 2 whole people on hold. Unreal. Wake up, people, would you? For God's sake, wake up. I mean, well, maybe we could put some afterlife experience people on the air, too. I mean, didn't you read your newspaper the last couple of days? Don't you have any idea what in the hell is going on? If you had read your newspaper this morning, you would find out that in order to, cut down on all of these appeals and, get rid of some of the clutter, that if you had applied for Social Security disability because you had a tumor and were not able to work, and you were in the process of a hearing, and you suddenly found out that tumor were cancerous, that you wouldn't be able to submit that as evidence. No, you would have to file a whole new claim. This isn't a matter of reducing paperwork. This isn't a matter of reducing clutter. This is a matter of putting people off. This is a matter of delaying. This is a matter of screwing the guy on the bottom. Millions of Social Security recipients are millionaires and get an awful lot of money. Most of the people applying for disability, most of the people applying for Medicare, most of the people applying for any type of welfare are not millionaires. They're the people who desperately need the damned help. And this new, kinder, gentler America is off to a great start. So I was just curious as to just what in the hell you people think you're owed by your country, or what do you think you owe somebody else? Just curious as all hell. Now, I know maybe it's not as much fun as listening to somebody that thinks he used to be Joan of Arc. But it's a hell of a lot more important. And it's a hell of a lot more relevant. 80,000 people. 80,000 people who have struggled to make livings as farmers in this country and have been jerked around by jerks in Washington, playing with interest rates, playing with quotas for agricultural goods, playing with ceilings and artificial floors for prices. jerked around by Washington are now being threatened with being thrown out in the gutter by Washington because, they're behind in their payments. Survival of the fittest. It's not like there are 80,000 new families wanting to buy those farms. But there are several hundred corporations that would love to get their hands on them. Just absolutely love to. Haven't you been reading the paper? A couple of million guys that drive trucks for a living going to be randomly tested for drugs. Not because anybody has any reason to suspect that a particular individual is on drugs, but just so that some people sitting around in large mansions in Beverly Hills and penthouses in New York can feel better. That they're doing something. Well, this is what we're doing about the drug problem. Yeah, we're testing 45-year-old truck drivers, Yeah, that's what we're doing. When does the new kinder, gentler nation start? I mean, do you have a right to expect, by the way, from your government, everybody but yourself, of course, be tested for drugs so that you feel safe out on the highway? What do you have a right to expect? Joanna in St. Petersburg. Joanna, you're on the air at 970 WFLA. Hello. Once, twice, Joanna. Such is life. Win some, you lose some, Boyd in Clearwater, you're on the air at 970 WFLA. Okay. Let's see. Could we possibly have a problem here? Let's put him on hold. I see. I think I see what the problem is. Yeah, there we go. Boyd, you're on the air now at 970 WFLA.
Yes, Bob.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm calling from payphone. I just wanted to ask you something about the farming situation. Don't you, I think you're being a little hard on the people that want to buy them farms. These people...
I'm being a little bit hard on the people that want to buy farms?
Yes, no, the 100 or so consumers that want to buy these farms, that these corporations that... these people...
Wait a second. Who the hell's talking to you in the background?
Oh, no, that's... I'm saying these corporations...
No, who's talking to you in the background?
Oh, that's Greg.
Oh, Greg, get off my phone, you jerk. Gene and Tampa, you're on the air at 970 WFLA.
Yes, good morning.
Yeah, good morning, Gene.
How are you today?
Fine, thank you.
I wanted to wish... Is it your birthday? I wanted to wish you a happy birthday,
Is it my birthday? No, it's not my birthday.
Oh, was it Bob's birthday then?
No, it's not Bob's birthday. I'm Bob.
Oh, okay. I had misinformation. I was just going to say that my mom lives up north in Minnesota, and she received Social Security benefits because my dad worked in the...
I don't care about whether or not your family receives Social Security benefits. I believe the question was, what are you entitled to? And what are other people who are down on their luck entitled to?
Well, I believe that my mother is entitled to the benefits of Social Security through my dad's efforts. And he worked in the mines for 40 years, and he didn't get a pension when he died. And, of course, the widows under the following year received pensions, but my mom didn't. I'm just saying if it wasn't for Social Security, that's her only income. And she raised 3 children. She was a homemaker, and I believe she's entitled to that.
Entitled to it from who?
From Social Security.
Social Security doesn't exist. You are Social Security. I am Social Security.
Right. Whatever we pay on FICA, I mean, that's what's taken out of our paychecks, right?
Well, why is your mother entitled to be compensated by me for having raised compensate? Why ask me to do so? And I'm not trying to be a hard ass here.
No, I understand.
I'm asking you a damn legitimate question.
But I just say that, okay, then why didn't you get a pension in the mining company? I mean, if my dad worked that many years and it didn't come under the plan, it's not my mom's fault that she shouldn't benefit by it either.
Well, it's not my fault either. Why should I have to pay?
Okay, we took action against the mining company, and we didn't even receive any compensation or not even any follow-up.
I sued somebody once and I didn't win. I didn't expect you to pick up the compensation for me.
I see where you're coming from. But you feel that it's up to the children to do the supporting them?
I don't recall saying any such thing. You see, my mother only had 1 child. So obviously I, as 1 child, cannot possibly support her, but your mother had 3. So I think, possibly, I for the sake of argument here, I don't see what's so terribly unreasonable.
Yeah. No, I understand where you're coming from. And I just wanted to make that point.
Thank you, Gene.
Okay.
Joanna in St. Petersburg. Joanna, you're on the air. Hi.
Bob. Is this Bob?
Yeah, this is Bob.
Oh, I could hardly hear you. I was on the line before, but I didn't hear you again. I'm sorry. I'm a little angry, and I know my voice is shaking. But I have been thinking exactly what you have been talking about today and the day after the election. Everything you said that day, I had already thought of the day of election. And I was so upset. I was physically ill the day after election. But this business of, you used the phrase, a house of cards, or government is sitting on a house of cards.
Yeah, I know what I said the day after the election. I believe today I'm talking about what people are owed by their government.
Well...
You know, what they have a right to expect.
Well, I personally feel that we should do what we can for ourselves. I don't think we should depend on anybody. And I don't think we're going to get anything from our government. I think the rich will, but the poor people aren't. This is why I'm so upset about this election. I'm so upset I can't even talk.
Well, thanks just the same, and Joanna. I'll go on to somebody who can. Jackie in Tampa, you're on the air at 970 WFLA.
You know, and it's sad the way this society's going. Something's not done.
Well, one of the reasons that maybe they're struggling is because of such a high tax burden.
True, that's true too.
To take care of somebody else's parents.
Well, you know, there's I think that the government could do a lot towards taking care of people, helping people do more. I don't think that we need to put all this money into the military. You know, take some of that money and put it towards the homeless, you know, that there's other countries in this world who don't have our problems. And we're supposed to be one of the most advanced societies in the world. There has to be a problem somewhere. I think our government's just screwing up.
The government's screwing up? How's that?
Well, like the mandatory testing, drug testing. Mm-hmm. How many of is it mandatory for Congress? Is it mandatory for the House of Representatives and all those people? I haven't heard anybody ever say, let's make that mandatory.
Well, it seemed to me that I'd be a little bit more interested in making sure that the 535 ladies and gentlemen who run my country were, you know, not on drugs or not on alcohol. I think that might be just as valuable to me as knowing that a truck driver out in Montana isn't.
Exactly. That's right. You know, they should be, you know, if they want to pass these laws, they need to be...
Julie in Tampa. Julie, you're on the air at 970 WFLA.
Jack, I agree with some of you, of what you have to say, but a lot I don't agree with.
Really? Such as?
The Social Security issue, but I think the lady that just called, I'm so tired of hearing that we shouldn't have any more aid to our military. Do they just want Russia and all these other countries just to come in here and wipe us out? Nobody wants to get...
What other countries... what other countries besides Russia did you have in mind coming in and wiping us out?
Any third world country.
Any third world country just coming in here and wiping us out.
Well, I mean, don't you think that we need a strong military?
No, I think we need a very strong defense. Yes, indeed.
Okay, and did you agree with that last caller? Because I should...
However, Julie, there is no threat of Russia coming in and wiping us out, and there is no other country on the face of the earth that has the capability of doing so.
Okay.
So what are you defending against?
Well, it's just the last caller.
And did it ever dawn on you that you might want to have something to defend, but the way it's going, there's not a hell of a lot to defend anymore?
Well, then maybe you should move to Russia.
Oh, maybe I should move to Russia. Well, that's a very intelligent thing for you to say.
You know, because all the jerks live in Russia. So
all the jerks. No, I'm sorry, Julie. Some of the jerks live in Tampa.
And where do you live, Bob?
Same town you do, Julie.
Well, you just said it. Thank you.
Oh, yeah, you're right. I just did say it. All the third world countries coming in. Oh, mercy, mercy, mercy. Jonathan.
If you pay into Social Security, I think that is a retirement setup.
No, sir. It was never a retirement setup. It was never anything other than a government transfer program. You do not have a little account someplace. Believe it or not, you really don't. Nor is there a penny in a Social Security trust fund anywhere. Not a penny.
You mean when it comes in from the taxpayers, it automatically pays out to the receivers, right?
Yeah, that's right, and anything that's left over is lent to the government.
It goes into the main general fund.
That's right.
Well, I still say that would eliminate that would give us, the guys that's working now, a chance to receive at least $100 a month instead of nothing.
It would give a guy that's working today, how's that?
Well, because at least it won't be in debt at the time that we retire.
I have the vaguest idea what the hell you're talking about. What do you think it's going to come from? Where's this $100 going to come from?
Well, there'll still be people working when we retire, so there'll be enough money to pay us maybe $100 a month.
Oh.
I hope. Of course, we might be working for Japan or for Canada or some other country. Like every time you hear a siren in Pinellas County, I hear that ambulance service is owned by Japan now. So they can realize that before long we might even have to fly their flag.
Might have to fly the Japanese flag, huh?
Well, they're buying it up.
Including even the ambulance service in
Pinellas County.
Pinellas County, where the siren is Japanese.
Every time you hear one of them, there's money going to Japan.
Every time you hear one, there's money going to Japan.
Every time you hear a siren, one of them ambulances going by, they're picking up somebody and taking them to the hospital or something. That money's going somewhere.
Well, thanks a lot, John.
Okay, thank you.
Hey, take care there. One line available in Pinellas. At least you forgot what the question was. The question is, what are you owed by your government, or what do you owe as a government to somebody else down on their luck? That's actually what it was all about. Ron in Tampa. Ron, you're on the air at 970 WFLA.
Bob, I tell you need to take a sigh after that last caller, but let's not even talk about it. What they owe to the American people, and I'm talking about the government, public servants in general. I'm at a cross, Bob, between...
No, I'm not talking about public servants. I'm talking about, the nation. What does a nation owe to somebody who's down on their luck?
Okay, but when you talk about the nation, aren't you talking about the spokespeople for the nation? And in essence, aren't they the public servants?
No, they're the public, in essence, who elect the public servants.
Okay, we can come around full circle on that, and I understand what you're saying, and it is a circle. The point that I'm trying to bring, Bob, is I'm at a cross between, do they owe us truthfulness or do they owe us exactly what we deserve? And that's basically what we're getting. I mean, this last election is the epitome of it, Bob. We're getting what we deserve. The politicians...
How is the last election the epitome of what a person is owed by his government?
Excuse me?
How is the last election the epitome of what a person is owed by his government in terms of services and support?
I'm saying that it's the epitome of what the American public is asking for, all right? And in that sense, they're not owed truthfulness. The American public is not owed truthfulness. They're owed what they're getting, and they're getting deceit, all right? That's what's won this last election, and apparently the American public is saying that, hey, we like deceit. We like all our decisions made for you, and that's basically what government is in place for to do.
I could have sworn, I was positive that I set this up in my monologue as services and support programs and things of that nature, and you're trying to turn this around to me on some type of sour grapes. I'm a Democrat and the Republicans won, but they're liars type of thing, and it doesn't play, man. I mean, do you want to play the game, or should I go on to somebody else who does?
Well, Bob, the way I understood it, if you wanted to talk specific services, then I'm not prepared to discuss that with you now.
I kind of caught on to that. Bob in St. Petersburg, you're on the air at 970 WFLA.
Yeah, Bob?
Uh-huh.
I think that one of the things...
Unfortunately, nobody else does. Ron in Palm Harbor. Ron, you're on the air at 970 WFLA.
Hello, Bob. All right.
Hi.
And this truck drivers, I've done some traveling on the roads locally and long distance, not as a truck driver, but as a citizen. And I've found the majority of them to be careful drivers, courteous drivers, helpful drivers. And a case in point is this accident that happened this morning on the interstate. How two guys, if they weren't on drugs or weren't idiots, could push a car in the wrong direction.
I'm just not interested. Play commercials, Michael. 12:42 the time. Now, I suppose there is a possibility, it may be a minor one, but I suppose there is a possibility that I'm going through a craving for a cigarette or something and I'm being a little bit short and testy. But I really don't think that's what's going on. I think what's going on is that people aren't paying attention. So let me see if I can't help you just a tad with what I had in mind. Now, when I would ask a question like, what does the government owe you? I would think more in terms of, instead of, honest politicians in a presidential campaign. That's not the government's job to provide you with politicians. You provide your own, thank you. But I would think in terms of the government owes me an education, the government owes me a secure retirement, the government owes me some type of health insurance, the government owes me whatever it might be. What is reasonable to expect as an American citizen? What are reasonable things that you could expect from your government when you're down and out or in deep trouble or when things just totally fall apart? You know, are you entitled to catastrophic care? Are your children, are the survivors entitled to some type of compensation through whatever? You starting to understand? I don't really think it's me. Shirley in St. Petersburg. Shirley, you're on the air at 970 WFLA.
Hi, Bob. I may be on the wrong track, too. I don't think so, though. What I think the government owes the nation, or the people, is a strong economy and a good, clear foreign policy and a place where businesses can do their businesses here and people can get good jobs because the government is so secure and so plain and clear that everything just goes along smoothly on its own.
Well, Shirley, first of all, I don't know really hardly anybody outside of perhaps Oliver North and a few people in the military who go to bed at night worrying about, foreign policy. Most people go to bed at night worrying about whether or not they can make the mortgage payment or the rent payment or whether or not the car is going to be repossessed overnight.
Right.
Or the kids, are going to need braces, et cetera, et cetera. And I've never known of an economy that didn't go well because the government wasn't going well.
Well, if the government is going well, the businesses will stay here. I don't know. We need the government to get the businesses back here instead of over in Taiwan and Korea.
How do you think they might go about doing that, Shirley?
I have no idea. That's the reason I'm not in Washington, I guess. But we have so many people in Washington getting paid to do the job.
Would you like to live in a country where the government ordered businesses home?
No, I wouldn't. But I would like to live in a country where you can go to work and you can work at the same place for 20, 30 years, and you can get your pension, you've got your insurance, you've got your little house, or you're going to get your little house in a few years, and you're going to raise your family. And if anything does go wrong, maybe the community can
Shirley,
help
that
it.
doesn't have anything to do with government.
I know.
That's social attitude now you're talking about.
If we had the strong government that was doing the right things, I think we would have the social attitude, too.
What could the government possibly do to foster that utopia that you speak of?
Just get our economy straight, I guess, so that this is a nurturing place for businesses and a nurturing place for its people.
Shirley, do you have any idea what's going to happen if the government, quote-unquote, got the economy straight, got rid of this deficit, and started paying off the debt? You're talking about drastic, Shirley, reduction in standard of living.
Well,
drastic.
Maybe it's like if you get behind on your bills in your own household. You've got to tighten up your belt drastically until you get out of it, and then you start building up again. I guess I'm still on the wrong track.
Thank you, Shirley.
Okay, bye-bye.
Before we go to Roger in Largo. Roger, you're on the air at 970 Pity Poo. Roger joins the Dog Meat Club. Off we go this time to Peg in Tampa. Peg, you're on the air at 970 WFLA.
Hello, Bob.
Hi, Peg.
Along with the things that you mentioned that the government owes us, education, reasonable amount of health care, catastrophic illness, we do need some government intervention in the matter of insurance and the things that are going on in insurance. But most of all, I think that you were a little harsh with the fellow who said we do need truth in government, and we don't need...
It's not the government's job to provide you with truthful presidential candidates.
It is our responsibility. You're quite correct, and we can never. We seem to have forgotten that the government is not them, and we are not us. The government is supposed to be us. And we seem to have lost that idea somewhere along the way and lost our sense of participation in making sure that we get good candidates. But I do want to talk about some of the things that these November surprises that are coming up after the election are probably, in a good measure, our fault for not recognizing that these things were to come about. The gentler kinder nation, if you wanted a gentler, kinder nation, I guess we should have elected Peggy Noonan, the speechwriter who came up with the phrase, because it was not George Bush's. But for example, in the farmers, the matter of holding back on this notice until after the election, and then presenting this notice shortly before the holidays, where these people are given a 45-day period in which to make up all of the things, a reasonable portfolio that will show that they will have a projected amount that will come in, that they will be capable of paying their debt. And the holidays, these offices will be closed for half days, shortening their... I mean, it's a tremendously complicated set of papers that they're going to have to fill out. And the result is going to be that any slight delay on the farmer's part of getting this stuff together and getting it in within time, within that 45-day period of time, which they won't have the full 45 days. You see,
which I think is really the second part of my question. Are you willing to help those guys out, Peg?
Am I willing?
Yeah.
How can I help them, Bob? How can I? They are being set up for failure. How can I possibly help them? And those people you have spoken of who are going to be, it's going to be made a lot more difficult for their appeals on various phases of Social Security help. Now, this is going to save the government dollars by putting blocks in front of these people so that they cannot receive whatever they are trying to receive. These are all ways of saving money for the government. These are all ways of pushing the little guy who probably needs a lot of help out of the way. We have a great deal of problems, but I don't like government acting in an underhanded way. I would much prefer that government came out this ridiculous thing of not raising taxes. If we do have a Social Security problem, then those people that earn over whatever is reasonable, $30,000 a year, $40,000 a year, these people should pay full taxes on their Social Security, and this would indeed help out. But to go down to the bottom and stop this little guy who is desperately in need of help by putting these roadblocks in front of his ability to get what he needs, this is pure and simple nastiness.
Peggy, thank you much.
Bye.
Be good. 12:51 the time.
Hello, Bob.
Hi, Jim.
I think what the government owes us is simply an opportunity. And they can give us an opportunity by providing a somewhat stable economy and protect our property and to protect the economy.
How can the government control the economy?
Well, the government can control the economy in many, many different ways.
That's right.
I don't want to go into that, but what we...
Whoa, wait a second. What do you mean you don't want to go into that? The government can help the economy by pumping a lot of money, for example, into military programs. The government can help control the economy by pumping a lot of money into social programs. What do you mean you don't want to go into it?
Well, the point I'm trying to make, Bob, is what the government owes us is simply an opportunity, an ability to make money, whether we're a corporation or
the government owes you an opportunity to make money?
Well, Bob, bottom line, money's the answer. If people can't make money in any nation, they're in serious trouble. Okay? If people can make a living, whether it be, normal, moderate, or very, very good, that dictates the whole standard of living, and it keeps people happy, basically.
Well, then the government should provide money for education, so of course you can learn how to do something, and then perhaps the government should provide some seed money so you can go into business for yourself and make money.
Well, possibly. But the other point I want to make real quick is people then must use that opportunity wisely, Bob, and that's where our system breaks down, Bob. People don't take the opportunity to educate themselves and to think and how to provide for themselves. Bottom line, the poor will always be with us, Bob. We're never going to get rid of them.
Well, I don't recall anybody suggesting we would. You mean, in other words, like those 80,000 farmers should have fought their way out of the drought?
Well, I'm not saying that. Bob, I don't have an answer for everybody. Okay, but what I'm saying is for 90% of the Americans, if they're willing to take the time and to take the opportunity that our government has given us, we have a somewhat stable economy. We are protected. Somebody can't come in and invade and screw up everything we have. Okay, maybe it happens, but 90% of the time it does not happen. People don't take that opportunity and use it wisely, Bob. They don't think. I'm 29 years old, Bob. I've had 2 years of college. I'm not a great success story, but I'm financially independent, and my future is taken care of already. Bob, these people retiring in our society with nothing in the bank, there's no excuse for that, Bob.
No excuse for it?
There's too many ways in our nation.
What do you mean there's no excuse for it? That's a rather arrogant statement.
Well, maybe
you're 29 years old. You know, you haven't lived life. You don't know what it's like to have, for example, let's say perhaps some type of terrible crises in the family that takes all of your savings.
It happens. And
yeah, you're damn right it happens,
right.
man.
And I want to balance what I'm saying by saying this, okay? There are crisis cases. There are people who are injured, handicapped, retarded. You know, for some reason they can't make money. Whatever the reason is, and they need to be cared for. But Bob,
what about somebody that wanted to provide a job to do a service that didn't pay very well that we all need anyway? You know, like maybe somebody who wanted to be a guard at a museum.
Okay.
Or somebody who wanted to be a tour guide at a museum.
Bob, you can take anybody making $12,000, okay? $12,000 a year. You give me 5 years with that person, okay? 5 years, and this is a real modest statement, Bob, okay? And I can have that person $10,000 in the bank and living comfortable. Not rich, but comfortable. How you going to do that, Jim? Bob, there's so many ways to make money.
Well, tell me one, Jim.
Okay, number one, real estate.
Oh, $12,000 with the real estate.
People can buy real estate.
With
Bob,
nobody down, right.
Bob, look in today's classified ads on investment properties. There are at least 4 or 5 properties in there. No
money down.
And
Yeah.
I'm not preaching a doctrine of prosperity. Don't get me wrong. What I'm simply trying to communicate to you today is...
Boy, I hope you have every penny tied up in real estate that you've got.
No, I don't. I'm not that stupid. Bob, the point I'm trying to make is bottom line, okay? And, you know, 90% of your callers before now are people who don't think. They want the government to hand them everything. And that's why I'm saying the poor will always be with us.
People who don't think they want the government to hand them everything. I see.
Well, they're out there.
Almost all of those, you do realize that virtually all of those desirable neighborhoods, and as we all know in real estate, there are only 3 things that matter: location, location, and location. You do realize that almost all of those desirable neighborhoods are desirable because of government.
That's true.
Yeah, I know.
I own properties in South St. Petersburg, are HUD properties, affordable rents. People can move in there, and the rent is
properties.
Guaranteed by the government.
Guaranteed by the government, and that's how you can make money without the government help. Right. Thanks ever so much, Jim. Give them to me, and I could sell them a course, and in no time at all, have them involved in real estate. I don't know who the hell they think is going to live in the real estate if everybody's selling real estate to everybody else, but then they had the same problem on that island that the boat full of Chinese launderers washed up on at one point in time. 7 minutes after the hour of 1 o'clock, they're really basically a 2-part question. What do you have a right to expect from the government, and what do other people have a right to expect from the government? Mark in Tampa. Mark, you're on the air at 970 WFLA.
Hi, how are you today?
Fine, thank you.
Listen, I basically believe what the government owes you is what it says in the Constitution. That's a strong national defense, a good mail service, internal security, a good road system, education for people. And then basically it's up to you to make it from there.
I don't recall where it says anything about a road system.
I believe it does. They'll have a highway, some kind of highway.
Oh, with the amendments.
Right.
Oh, I see, the Constitution with the amendments.
Okay. What I'm saying is, the trouble is, government is like a drug. The people start dependent on it, and then they become a slave to the government. And I mean, ever since FDR started out all these social programs, the people are addicted to it. And, you know, the thing that's always killed a democracy is that the people start robbing the treasury.
Social programs that FDR started, as I recall, FDR started Social Security, which was, of course, a very, very, very modest supplement. I recall FDR putting people to work through public works projects so that their earnings could regenerate the economy and therefore make the public works projects jobs unnecessary. Which other great social programs did you have in mind that you'd like to blame FDR for?
He was the one that started. You know, he let the like Pandora's box. He let it out. And then we've got all these. We got welfare now. We got food stamps. We've got everything. And, you know, it's going to come down to it sooner or later. This country's going to go broke.
The welfare and the food stamps, as you no doubt know, go primarily to children.
Yes. So So why can't we? If these
and you would consider feeding children to be a bad thing to do?
Well, let's put it this way. I think what you should do, if I want to feed your kid, you ought to be taking some birth control so you don't have another kid. I mean, I think poor people have got to take some responsibility. They want all these free things, but they don't want to do anything for it. And I don't see anything wrong with telling a person that, hey, you've got one kid, you can't have another one. You've got to take some kind of birth control. I mean, it's getting ridiculous. You got people out there with 3 or 4 illegitimate kids. They have them like rabbits.
I see. Then you're not in favor of the Declaration of Independence.
Well, what part of the Declaration of Independence?
Well, I think in essence the first line or two.
Well, I don't think the Declaration of Independence said that we've got to pay for all these kids either.
Well, no, but it said that everyone is entitled to the pursuit of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. I would think that would kind of preclude telling people who will have children, who won't.
Well, you think maybe the new one is, and they got to put it into the pursuit of welfare?
No, we wouldn't.
What are we down, about 140?
No, it's a little closer to 160, and that's only through some razzle-dazzle. That's because the money that should be going into the quote-unquote highway trust fund and the money that is the surplus in Social Security are making that appear to be smaller. Actually, you take away those two things, and the budget deficit is still over $200 billion a year.
Well, they're just trying to play games with the
That's right. That's right.
That's a problem on there.
So it's still $200 billion a year.
Right. Well, and I think, what was it? Everybody owes it, if they put it in, every human being in the United States owes, what, $40,000 for the national debt, is it?
No, it's closer to about $8,000.
It is?
Yeah.
I thought it was higher than that.
Well, for a family of 4, it's then approaching $32,000.
Right. Well, personally, I hate to say this, and I love this country, but I see no way out of it. Unless you're going to have to change the rules, and we just can't. We got to quit being so darn dependent on government.
By the way,
I'm saying defense contractors too. They're dependent on it.
By the way, how did you pay for your schooling?
Excuse me?
How did you pay for your schooling?
My high school or college?
College.
I went to service.
And what school did you go to? Was it a public school? You know, a public as opposed to a private college.
I went to University of Tampa.
University of Tampa, public school.
Private.
University of Tampa is totally private.
Yes, it is.
Oh, okay. That's interesting.
And I worked some odd jobs too.
Did you have any Pell Grants or anything like that? Any?
No.
No.
I wasn't smart enough for that.
No loans.
Nope.
Just a GI Bill.
And I had money saved up.
And you had money saved up. How's your house financed?
My house financed? I don't own a house.
Don't own a house?
No, I don't.
Your parents' house, was it by any chance an HFA or a VA loan?
When my mom and dad got married, they worked hard and saved enough money up, and they bought their own house cash, I believe. But it was a lot easier then. Their first house only cost them like $8,000. Now I'll be honest with you. Right now, the house I'd like to buy, I really can't afford right now. But I'm not going to go into hock for it or whatever.
Your parents collect Social Security?
Yes, they do.
And you don't have any problem with that?
Well, I think it's ridiculous they get it myself. Because
you do? Why?
Why? Because the money they get, they don't need the money, first of all, okay? Second of all, what I think is fair, my father's collected, and when we figured it up, he paid into it since 1940. The money he put into that, I think total was like $20,000, right, for all these years. And he got that money back, his whole investment back, in 2 years on retirement. And there's just no way that's going to work. I mean, I think what they should do when you've got a person who has enough money that doesn't really need this retirement is they ought to just give them a blank check of whatever they put in. Say they put in $20,000, give them a check for $20,000, and say we're not going to give you any more payments on it. I mean, if you look the way Social Security is made up, there's no way this is going to work.
Well, that's great for your dad, who apparently doesn't need it. But what about people who do need it?
In his life, he deserves what he has. I work hard.
A lot of people have worked very hard in this life and don't have anything.
Well, then, so what am I supposed to do? Am I supposed to give them all my money, redistribute my income to them? I mean, I'm paying 33% tax right now per year on federal income tax, 28% plus a 5% surtax. I mean, that's out of every $3 I make, I got to give $1 to the government. I mean, I think this is obnoxious. You know, I do. I mean, how much money am I supposed to give to other people?
It's rather amusing that you wanted to eliminate the welfare, but don't really hear you making any great calls outside of, well, it ought to be, on the Social Security. And the Social Security didn't really seem to affect you that much, and far more money is spent on Social Security every year than there is on welfare.
Security. There's no problem on eliminating Social Security, but when we eliminate it...
Well, sure, no problem for you because your parents could take care of themselves.
Well,
but
they could.
I wonder if you'd still feel the same if you had to suddenly start taking care of them.
Well, I think that would be fair. There's no problem there.
Well, why don't you set a good example and do it?
I don't have to right now. If I would, I would.
Well, take that money and send it back. That Social Security money and send it back.
Well, look, you have to talk to them about that.
Well, you could do it. You know, to set a good example, you could just take that amount and send it back.
For example, I'm self-employed. Okay, I have to pay 11.8% on my first $45,000.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's
self-employment
ridiculous.
Tax, right?
Huh?
Self-employment tax.
Right. You know, and then,
well, actually, you're getting a hell of a break.
I'm getting a hell of a break?
Yeah.
Why? Did I have to pay, what, 13%?
Well, if you worked for somebody else, they'd have to pay 7.51, and you'd have to pay 7.51. So, actually, you're getting a break.
Okay.
Because that 7.51 that your employer theoretically pays, I mean, come on, that's coming out of your pocket no matter how you want to look at it.
All right, okay, this isn't fair either. I'm paying 11% 8. This other guy's paying 7.1. We both make top in. When we retire, we're going to get the same amount of money. I had to put more in than him.
Well, no, he isn't. First of all, it's 7.51. And
whatever,
secondly, it's actually 15.2 because the employer pays, or 15.02,
right.
Because the employer pays 2, right. Theoretically, but it's still coming out of the guy's pocket. He's paying 15%, you're paying 11%, and you're bitching that he's going to get as much as you? He ought to get a hell of a lot more than you.
No way.
He's paying more.
No, he's not paying more.
The hell he isn't.
His company's paying half of it.
They're taking it right out of his pocket. They consider that money that they're paying him. That's money that they won't pay him.
Well, you got a good point there.
I got a damn good point there.
How about this? If I'm self-employed, how about letting me be exempt from Social Security? Is that, you know?
No, your parents are getting it. Where the hell do you think that money came from?
Yeah, you're right on that. You're smart. I can't get much by you here today.
Well, I'm not trying to be a mean guy. I'm not trying to be nasty. I'm just rather curious as to what people think they're entitled to and what they think other people are entitled to.
Well,
and I think it's coming out to be rather interesting.
Well, basically, get down to brass tacks. I like to almost see this country go with no more welfare or whatever, and you just make it or break it on your own. And go through charity. If you want to help somebody out, I help people out in town, but I do it through charity. You know, give some people here money here. You know, it's. I like to know how the people in the country survived before we had Social Security and everything, before 1930. You know, these people still lived.
Yeah, a lot of them lived in hobo camps, and a lot of them didn't live. A lot of them didn't make it. A lot of children used to die. Now, that's why we got these programs, because the people in this country took a look around and saw the way that other people were living and said, this isn't right. This just is not right. And as far as you're helping out with charities, well, I'm really glad to hear that, and I will take your word for it. I will assume that you actually do. But I wonder about the next quarter when things get a little bit tight. Maybe it's your business, you know, the cash flow problem or something. Wonder if you'll be around to give to the charities then when things are a little tight at home.
Well, you know, how about the government? Should they be giving as much when they get tight?
Giving as much to who?
Giving as much to, let's be honest with you, welfare is charity.
Welfare may well be charity, sir,
you know,
then so are military pensions that are 2 and 3 times what the person was getting when he left the military.
Right.
So are Social Security payments to the wealthy.
Mm-hmm.
So are cost-plus contracts to military, industrial complex-type people.
Mm-hmm.
It's all welfare, sir, and the only people we seem to want to jump all over are the relative handful of people in this country who are getting a relatively small percentage of the budget. They're the ones we want to point our fingers at, while you and I, sir, receive far, far, far more from the government than anybody on welfare.
I don't see how you can say, what do I get from the government? I don't get anything from them.
You don't get anything from them? Generally, what is your business?
I'm in the insurance business.
You're in the insurance business.
Mm-hmm.
I see. Do you drive on the street to get to visit your clients?
Yes, I do.
I bet you do. I'll bet you use
80% of my time.
I'll bet you use the telephone too, right?
Yes, I do.
And I'll bet a lot of those calls are bounced off a satellite somewhere.
I'd say 90% of my calls are in the Tampa Bay area.
totally bounced off the satellites there.
Whatever, you know. Okay.
Yeah. Or would you like me to continue?
Okay, but then again, I paid for that. I paid my fair share of taxes.
You paid your fair share of taxes?
Yeah. I'm paying 33% tax. That's just federal income tax, let alone every time I buy something, I got to pay, 5% sales tax. You know, I like to add up every year what I pay in. Everybody add up what they pay a year in all taxes. I'm talking federal income tax, all taxes. I'd be willing to bet they're paying, the average person is paying 50% of his paycheck to taxes.
50% of his paycheck to taxes?
Yeah. If you add up...
Average person?
The average person.
You know what the average income is in this country?
What, for a family or for what?
Well, for a family.
I'd say $25,000.
It's a little better than that.
Okay.
But they're not paying anywhere near 50% in taxes there.
Okay. What are they? $32,000. Let's say $30,000. So what's that put them in? A 20? What? That puts them in a 20% income tax bracket, right?
Well, no, sir. They're really only you really only have 15 and 28.
Okay. So how much income?
There is one little place in there in between where for a few dollars you pay 33%.
Okay. What would you say a family of 30,000 would pay?
Well, let's see. If you want to include Social Security, there's 7% right there, 7.5%.
Okay,
so
that's $2,100.
About $4,000.
That's Social Security, $2,100. How much you think? And let's say they
$3,000 or $4,000 a year.
Okay, you 30,000. Say they pay 15% federal income tax. So that's $4,500. Okay, now we've got to take out 5% on their buying power because of the sales tax.
It's actually 6.
So let's just put down another $1,500. Is that fair?
Well, no, it isn't fair because not everything they're buying is taxable.
Okay, well let's for argument's sake, let's give a number. Out of 30,000, what do you think would be fair for sales tax?
For sales tax?
Yeah.
Oh, for 30,000, probably about $600.
Let's go $1,000. Makes it easier.
Oh, okay.
Okay, I mean that
makes it easier, but it also is 80% more.
Okay, let's go $600, but I think you're really low on that. Okay, now let's talk about, would you say the average people own their own home?
No, they don't, as a matter of fact.
Okay, well, I was going to put some property tax on these people. But even if they don't own their own home, they have to rent, so they still have to pay property tax per se, correct?
Well, somebody is, yeah.
So, according to rent, what kind of dollars do you think out of 30,000 we should give them on income or on property tax?
So on property tax in this area, $500-600 a year.
Okay, I'll go down there. I still think you're low on this.
Well, there aren't too many people earning $30,000 a year living in a $200,000 house. Most of them would tend to live in a $50,000, $60,000, $70,000, $80,000 house. And with the tax rates in this particular area, you're talking $500, $600, $700 a year.
Okay, $500.
Now, you want to talk up north, and a couple of grand.
Okay. Now let's talk, what other tax? We got, let's see, got any other tax we can throw in on these people?
No, but actually you just raised an interesting point. I'm kind of glad you didn't jump on that about up north, the $30,000, or the couple of thou for property taxes. You see, the thing is, we quoted you a national average of just under 31,000.
One of the things down here, we don't have a state income tax.
Well, no. One of the things that's really bad about down here is that the average family income in the state of Florida is far lower than 30,000.
Well, yeah,
that's taking in, that national average is taking in California, Massachusetts, New York, Alabama, Florida, but it's actually far, far lower here.
Yeah, I understand that. I wish it was higher for everybody, but you can't do anything much on that. So.
Oh, you can't?
Well, hey, I do agree with you on the minimum wage. That should be raised. Okay. And the minimum wage, I think, should be indexed. I mean, if you're going to index Social Security recipients, I think you got to index low-wage earners.
I don't know why you should index Social Security recipients.
Well, I basically don't either, but, if you're going to do that, I think you got to give the guy that's paying the Social Security tax.
If you're going to index low-income earners, why not index high-income earners?
Well, it's hard to index like myself, but... Myself, I work a straight commission basis, so how do you do that? Raise my commissions on different things and just, that ain't going to work. You take a lot of most of your high-income people are commission people.
Are they?
I would say in the state of Florida, yes.
Could be, I don't know.
But let's get back to this tax thing real quick.
Well, no, actually, I've got to move along.
Okay.
But I thank you very much.
Okay.
Take care, Mark.
It was nice talking to you.
Be good.